Here we go again. Story time. Found out my fiance was cheating the whole time we were dating. I never thought in a million years I would be writing this story. For 2.5 years, I thought I had found the person I would spend my life with. At 29, I was ready to settle down with my 28-year-old fiance, who I believed loved me as much as I loved her. That morning was no different than any other. I had left my laptop charger at her place and swung by to grab it before heading to work. She was on her way out, already running late for her shift at the clinic where she worked. "Just lock up when you leave," she told me, rushing out the door. I had a key, just like she had one to my place. We didn't live together yet, though we only lived about 10 minutes apart. Whenever I wasn't at her place, she was at mine. At least, that's what I thought. After grabbing my charger, I used the bathroom before leaving. That's when I saw it, a condom wrapper in the trash can. My world stopped. We didn't use condoms. We hadn't in almost the entire time we were dating. Standing there staring at the small piece of foil, I felt like I couldn't breathe. My mind raced, trying to find any explanation, but came up empty. I didn't confront her, not then. Instead, I locked up and got in my truck. I drove around aimlessly for hours, my mind a tornado of thoughts. Who? When? How long has this been happening? Later that afternoon, my phone buzzed with a text that would confirm my worst fears. "Can we talk?" It was from her friend, not her best friend, but someone in her circle. We were not close, which made the message all the more strange. We agreed to meet at a Dunkin' Donuts nearby. When I arrived, she was already there, nervously fidgeting with her coffee cup. "Thanks for meeting me," she began, not making eye contact. "This isn't easy, but I can't keep quiet anymore." What she told me next shattered what remained of my heart. My fiance hadn't just cheated once. According to her friend, she had been unfaithful throughout our entire relationship. She would brag about it, her friend told me, disgust evident in her voice. Sometimes she'd have guys over right after you left her place. What? Why are you telling me this? Why now? The whole time I've known her, she's bragged about all the guys she's had. She takes advantage of them. She's taking advantage of you. She paused. And honestly, I'm tired of being part of it by staying silent. I sat there, trying not to let her see how deeply her words had cut me. "Thank you," I managed to say, standing up. "I appreciate your honesty." I drove home in a daze, pulled out the boxes I had kept from my last move, and began packing up everything my fiance had left at my place. Clothes, toiletries, books, the framed photo of us from our engagement party, all of it went into boxes. I loaded everything into my truck and drove to her place. She wasn't home, so I left it all at her doorstep. No note, no explanation. The boxes would speak for themselves. That evening, my phone exploded with notifications, calls, texts. I ignored them all. I knew what I had to do. Looking back, the signs were there all along. We met at a local animal shelter where she volunteered. I was there with a friend of mine who was a huge dog lover. She approached me, bright-eyed and engaging, asking if I was considering adopting. We talked for hours that night, and I was captivated by her confidence and how easily conversation flowed between us. We exchanged numbers, and before I knew it, we were dating. It all happened so fast, too fast maybe, but at the same time, it felt right. I drive trucks for a living, local routes, nothing long distance. I am home most nights and weekends, which I thought meant I could maintain a steady relationship. Unlike some of my colleagues who are gone for days, I could be present. I thought that meant I would know if something was wrong. When we were together, nothing seemed off. She wasn't glued to her phone around me. If anything, she was more present than most people these days, always giving me her full attention. I even had access to her phone whenever I needed it. No passwords, no restrictions. Why would I suspect anything? Sure, there were moments that should have made me pause, times when I would call and she wouldn't answer, only to call back hours later with vague explanations about being busy at work or having her phone on silent. Sometimes her stories about where she'd been or who she'd been with had inconsistencies, but I brushed them off. I trusted her. There were nights when she would cancel our plans at the last minute, claiming she was tired from a busy day at the clinic. I never questioned it because I understood how demanding her job could be. Sometimes, friends would give me odd looks when I mentioned her name, or they would change the subject abruptly. I just figured they didn't know her well enough yet. Once, I stopped by the clinic with lunch for her, and a coworker seemed surprised, mentioning they thought she had the day off. She appeared from the back room seconds later, explaining she had switched shifts with someone. It made sense at the time. Another red flag appeared when she started getting texts at odd hours if she spent the night. She laughed them off as work emergencies or friends in different time zones. I believed her because I wanted to. We never lived together despite dating for over 2 years. Whenever I brought it up, she had reasonable excuses. Her lease wasn't up. She wanted to save more money first. Her landlord was giving her a great deal. The excuses made sense individually, but looking back at the pattern, I can see she was keeping her space separate for a reason. I'm not naive usually, but love has a way of blinding you. You see what you want to see and explain away the rest. That morning, finding the condom wrapper wasn't really the first sign. It was just the first one I couldn't ignore. In the days that followed my conversation with her friend, more pieces fell into place. Other friends reached out, sharing stories they kept quiet about for too long. Sightings of her with other men, rumors that had circulated, all while I was planning our future together. After boxing up her belongings and leaving them at her doorstep, I went home and turned off my phone. I needed space to think, to process everything that had happened. When I finally turned my phone back on the next morning, there were 7 voicemails and 42 text messages. Most were from her, ranging from confused, "What's going on?" to angry, "Answer your phone," to desperate, "Please talk to me." I ignored them all. That day, more of her friends reached out to me. One sent screenshots of conversations where she bragged about her conquest. Another told me about running into her at a bar with another guy, looking very cozy. I spent the day driving my route on autopilot, barely paying attention to the world around me. My coworkers noticed something was wrong, but I brushed off their concerns. This pain was mine alone, and I needed to deal with it. Her calls and texts continued throughout the day. Around noon, on my lunch break, she showed up at my job. I saw her waiting by my truck as I came out of the building. "What is wrong with you? Why did you leave all my stuff on my porch? Why aren't you answering my calls?" I walked past her to my truck, not making eye contact. "Go home. Not until you tell me what's going on." She grabbed my arm, forcing me to look at her. For a moment, staring into her eyes, I almost wavered. Almost. Then I remembered the condom wrapper, the stories, the betrayal. "I know everything. Your friend told me about all the guys, about how you'd have them over right after I left." Her eyes got really wide. Then she quickly shifted to anger. "Which friend?" she spat. That was telling. Not denial, not confusion, just anger at being caught. "Does it matter?" I asked. "They're lying," she insisted, but her eyes told a different story. "You're going to throw away our relationship because of some rumors?" "No, I'm ending our relationship because you've been unfaithful since day one." Her expression changed again, this time to something calculated. "You can't prove anything." "I don't need to. I know what I know." I got in my truck and drove away, leaving her standing in the parking lot. In my rearview mirror, I could see her screaming something at me, but I couldn't hear the words. I didn't need to. That evening, I went through our photos together, our text messages, our plans for the future. Everything we had built was based on a lie. 2.5 years of my life invested in someone who didn't value our relationship enough to be faithful. I thought about the wedding venue we had toured just a month earlier, the house we had talked about buying, the children we might have had, all gone now, dreams turned into dust. More calls came in from mutual friends, some taking her side, claiming I was overreacting or that I should at least hear her out. Others offered support, saying they had suspected something but hadn't wanted to interfere. I didn't want to talk to any of them. I just wanted the pain to stop. That night, around 9 p.m., there was frantic knocking at my door. I knew who it was before I even looked through the peephole. I opened the door and there she stood, mascara streaking down her face. Before she could say a word, I spoke first. "Don't ever come back to my place," I told her. She stepped back, looking shocked. "Again, what did I do?" "You know what you did." "I have no idea what you're talking about." Her voice rose, taking on that familiar defensive tone I now recognized as guilt. "I found a condom wrapper in your bathroom trash," I told her. "We don't use condoms." Her mouth opened, then closed, no words coming out. "Then your friend confirmed everything, how you've been cheating the entire time we've been together, how you brag about it." Her expression hardened. "Which friend are you talking about? Why would I tell you? You're throwing away our engagement over something someone told you? You don't even want to hear my side?" I looked at her, really looked at her, wondering how I had missed so much for so long. "I trusted you completely, and you betrayed that trust over and over again. There's nothing more to discuss. So that's it. 2.5 years and you're just done? You were done a long time ago. I'm just catching up." I closed the door in her face, ignoring her continued knocking and yelling. Eventually, she gave up and left. The next few weeks were the hardest. I changed the locks at my place, had to tell the landlord why, and gave him a key, even though she returned her key through a mutual friend. I blocked her number and removed her from all my social media. I needed a clean break to heal. Friends tried to set me up, saying the best way to get over someone is to get under someone else, but I wasn't ready. I needed time to rebuild my trust, not just in others, but in myself and my judgment. 6 months later, I ran into her friend, the one who had told me the truth. She told me my ex was already engaged again. I felt nothing but pity for the poor guy. "Thank you," I told her, "for being honest with me. You saved me from making the biggest mistake of my life. I should have told you sooner," she admitted. "I'm sorry about that." I shook my head. "You told me when it mattered. It's been a year now. I'm not dating with a purpose yet, but I'm open to the possibility again." The pain has faded, leaving behind valuable lessons. I've learned to trust my instincts, to not ignore red flags, and to value honesty above all else. I've learned that love shouldn't hurt, and that real love doesn't have to come with suspicion and doubt. Most importantly, I've learned that ending something toxic isn't failure, it's courage. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from what's hurting you, even when walking away feels impossible. I did the impossible, and I survived. Commentary. Well, someone thought highly enough to clean up this guy's blind spot and told him the truth about his fiancé cheating on him. But I think if his fiancé wasn't in a rush to go to work, she would have disposed of that condom.